change its coverage, how it does its work, how it approaches Donald Trump in an age of tweets, many of which are false, a whole new approach, perhaps, to journalism. Joining us now is Scottie Nell Hughes. She is joining us from Nashville. She's political editor of RedAlerts.com and a contributor for CNN. Scottie Nell, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I gather you called Donald Trump the media's worst nightmare. Talk about why.
Well, it's simple. We know he ran a non-traditional campaign. It was a non-traditional election. And because, as we see, the polls did not accurately, well, the polls actually predicted, but nobody was expecting amongst the media the outcome that we got. And now we're going to have a non-traditional administration. And so the media, who's known for supposedly being flexible, is dealing with a situation they've never dealt with before. And it's not just because of who the candidate is, it's because of the environment that we live in. No other president has been able to directly talk to the people and have the tools to do that at his fingertips like Mr. Trump is. Whether we're talking Twitter or YouTube or Facebook Live, social media has opened up a new channel that goes directly from the politician to the people. And Mr. Trump knows that. He recognizes that. And the media is going to have to figure out how they're able to still be able to get a message out that in many ways Mr. Trump feels like he can accurately do better just going directly to them.
Now, I know you've been listening since the top of the program, and I'm sure you've heard James Fallows talk about lies that Donald Trump has put out there in tweets, in things he said. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's also an idea of an opinion. And that's, on one hand, I hear half the media saying that these are lies. But on the other half, there are many people that go, no, it's true. And so one thing that has been interesting this entire campaign season to watch is that people that say facts are facts, they're not really facts. Everybody has a way. It's kind of like looking at ratings or looking at a glass of half full water. Everybody has a way of interpreting them to be the truth or not truth. There's no such thing, unfortunately, more of fact. And so Mr. Trump's tweet amongst a certain crowd, a large part of the population, are truth. When he says that millions of people illegally voted, he has some facts amongst him and his supporters. And people believe they have facts to back that up. Those that do not like Mr. Trump, they say that those are lies, and there's no facts to back it up.
All right, let's go to Glenn Thrush and let him comment.
First, I got to pick my jaw up off the floor here. There are no objective facts. I mean, that is an absolutely outrageous assertion. Of course there are facts. There is no widespread proof that 3 million people voted illegally. It's been checked over and over again. We had a Pew study that took place over 15 years that showed people had more likelihood of being struck by lightning than voting illegally in an election. Facts are facts. I'm sorry you don't like the facts, but you said a couple of things here that I think are people really have to understand. First of all, your president, our president, Donald Trump, president-elect, is not the first president to go around the mainstream media and get to people. What were the fireside chats? What was the early advertising? The earliest ages of our days of our republic, media was entirely partisan. So you got to understand the historical precedent. Trump is just using the newest tools at his disposal. And the one thing I think you got totally right, that PolitiFact would give you a completely true score on, is we definitely need to start responding to this.
And James Fallows.
So I think
okay, hold on 1 second. Let me respond back to Glenn Thrush.
Go ahead.
Now that I know that Glenn is listening, actually what you said was wrong. Let's look at 2014 electoral studies. The journal showed that in 2008 and 2010, illegal immigrants were higher. And this was done by illegals were actually voting in it. These were done by
can you give me the number?
Just at Old Dominion. as many as 2.8 million. That these four professors at Old Dominion and George Mason came out and proved and said 2.8. Pew Research poll, that same poll you cited, actually 53% of Democrats at the Democratic Party support letting illegals vote. These are people that actually monitor those polls. So this is why, if anything, we should have stronger voter ID laws in all of these states to make sure that we don't have this type of conversation going forward.
All right.
Because in many states, you can mail things in. Those work. So, yes, there is facts to back up what I said and why Trump supporters believe it. You are wrong, sir.
It's often the more specific, quote, smaller issues where the fact issue is more dramatic. Donald Trump has said there were 20,000 people outside a certain hall. The fire marshal said the hall holds 3,000 people. He said it one day, the NFL asked me to move the dates of these debates. The NFL said, what are you talking about? We've never contacted you. He said he gave donations to these various charities. David Farenthold of the Post contacted hundreds of these charities, said they'd never had received it. So there are matters of opinion. I think that it was very revealing, an important thing that Scottie Nell Hughes was saying, which is that there are no facts. I think it actually is an intended result of this campaign and administration to think, well, really, there aren't any facts. It's all opinion, so we're going to sort of manipulate the things that we care about. I believe that the job for the media and civil society now is essentially to say there are such things as facts. So the line may be drawn here.
Scottie.
Yes. Well, what's interesting, what he just said, all those people he mentioned are known biased, including political.
The NFL is biased?
Well, that's the question that you have to ask right now. These were private conversations that happened with the NFL. The NFL that came out and spoke about it, the person who did, was someone that we've proven has not been necessarily a Trump fan. We don't know the conversations that happened, and just like it was reported that the Secret Service, the media reported the Secret Service came and talked to Mr. Trump about his comments regarding Hillary Clinton. That never happened. But yet the media doesn't say, we're sorry we made up that lie about you, Mr. Trump. That's the problem with this, is we've somehow gone as journalists from stopping reporting the who, what, where, the facts, and we've mixed in our own opinions of why. And there's, there are some that still do that, but unfortunately, people like Farenthold, who you actually pointed out, they feel like interjecting their own opinion into it. So any facts that they might be able to report, nobody believes because he's interlaced his opinion in other places.
Okay, and Margaret Sullavan, you'd like to say something.
Yes, Scottie Nell, with due respect, if you identify as a journalist, you cannot also be saying there are no facts, which you did just say. And I also just want to challenge your language in describing people who are immigrants who are not documented. I think it is offensive to call them illegals.
But that's what they are. That's part of the whole problem here. That is a fact. If you are here illegally in this country... Illegal is not a noun.
Illegal is not a noun.
You are illegally here. That's why Mr. Trump won. If you want to keep going down this path and using this politically correct, basically non-factual language of calling them undocumented immigrants and not calling them what they are, you're going to continue to lose. The Democratic Party is going to continue to lose. And the facts, there are such things as facts, but facts, however, the media has taken them and skewed them so much that it depends on, you can look at reports from people like Daily Caller, Breitbart, Washington Times, even things, that don't necessarily go along with your opinion, and you will say those are not facts. Well, guess what? It's a two-sided mirror there because they say the same about your reporting.
All right, and on that very note, I want to ask you, Scottie Nell, what you believe journalists should be doing in covering Donald Trump.
Well, and let me say this. I'm a classically studied journalist, but I will be the first to say at this stage of my life, I am an opinion journalist. So when I say something, I'm going to go in and put that disclaimer. I'm giving you my opinion in it. The problem is journalists today going forward are going to have to start saying, I'm giving you an opinion or I am giving you just the straight facts. I'm leaving the why out of it, my explanation out of it, if we're going to restore credibility into this field. What journalists need to do going forward with Mr. Trump is they're going to have to actually start being straight with him. If you're an opinion person like Sean Hannity, he's going to, and I think we all pretty much know, he's going to have whatever he says based with his own opinion. Now, others need to be as honest about that. And so going forward, journalists are going to have to realize that when